and then you're going to extend. You're going to straighten out. In this case, I'm doing this to the left leg, and then we're actually going to lift out the right leg, and then we're going to hold that position. Are you struggling with degenerative disc disease and find most exercise advice too intense? Has your doctor given you the average exercise for the average person, thinking that all low back pain is the same? In this video, I'll show you how slow, controlled core exercises can not only fit your lifestyle, but actually enhance your mobility, ease your pain safely and effectively. Now, in just a moment, I'll demonstrate my 4 core exercise routine that you can easily follow along with. Always remember, these exercises must be carefully timed and integrated into a planned step-by-step treatment program. You want to start correcting the underlying causes of the degenerative disc disease first. And one of the ways we tackle this with our unique non-surgical robotic laser spinal decompression system, I've talked about that in detail in my previous videos on my YouTube channel. Spinal degenerative arthritis and degenerative disc disease significantly limits mobility, impacts daily life, and it's going to create ongoing pain and discomfort. Now, as the condition worsens, it can affect everything from simple movements to more strenuous activities, severely reducing your quality of life. But what most people may not know is that spinal degenerative arthritis and degenerative disc disease can actually weaken your back muscles, which adds to more strain and more pain. This weakening not only increases discomfort, but also complicates daily activities, and it makes managing the condition that much more difficult. That's why strengthening core muscles through tailored exercises is crucial. It helps support the spine, it reduces pain, and improves overall stability and function. The 4 core exercises I'm going to show you are safe and gentle exercises specifically designed for those with back pain or limited mobility from degenerative disc disease. As your back and core get stronger with these exercises, you'll notice that your posture will improve, your movements become smoother and more fluid, and your daily activities will feel less strenuous. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, I've helped thousands of people with degenerative disc disease over the past 30 years. Hi, I'm Dr. John Zielonka. Welcome to my home gym. I'm a neurofunctional chiropractor in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I've been doing this for over 30 years now. I'm the author of 10 books, the founder of National Health Day in Canada, and I'm very honored to say we've been voted Ottawa's best 16 times, as well as have the privilege of working with some of the world's very best athletes, but also with the everyday office worker, the laborer, absolutely everybody in between. My YouTube channel focuses on helping those who've been suffering with debilitating chronic back and neck pain. Before I dive into today's video, I need you to smash that subscribe button if you want to learn more tips and strategies on how to treat and relieve debilitating back and neck pain without drugs, without surgery. I upload a new video every week. So let's get right to it. Let's dive into these follow-along core exercises. Before we begin, I want you to understand what it is we're trying to accomplish. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you know one of my pet peeves is people thinking that there's one low back exercise for all low back conditions. That simply doesn't exist. So let's understand what's happening in degenerative disc disease, and remembering, if I say degenerative disc disease or spinal arthritis or osteoarthritis or spinal decay, spinal deterioration, they all mean the same thing. This is the vertebrae. So you've got the vertebrae. The red part you see is the disc, another vertebrae. This continues so on. At each different level, the yellow guys you see coming out are the nerves. And what happens in osteoarthritis or degenerative disc disease is this disc actually starts to wear and tear. It starts to thin out. That's not good, because the more that thins out, the less room there's going to be for that nerve to come out. So phase 1 is where that starts to thin out, for what we call spurs or osteophytes. And that's its attempt to actually begin to start to fuse the vertebrae together, because it believes, well, if this is fused, then every time I turn, if it's thinned out, I'm going to actually put even more pressure on that nerve. So if the body fuses together, it just eliminates your ability to turn. And that's what phase 3 becomes, is you literally become fused. It's how they used to do surgery years ago, and they now know was a terrible way to do surgery. So what we want to do when we're doing exercises for degenerative disc disease is we want to be able to strengthen that, but without putting more pressure on those spurs. So we want to avoid any type of rotational movement, a lot of flexion movements, extension movements if we can. There are ways to strengthen the core without actually aggravating the degenerative disc disease. So that's going to be key. You're going to find most of the movements are held in a static position. So that means we're in a position where we're not moving the body, we're just holding and getting that contraction to strengthen in a steady state, so to speak. So exercise number 1 is what's referred to as the bird dog. Some people have heard this from Stu McGill, a university professor. Truth is the bird dog was invented long before Stu McGill ever made it famous. And what we're doing in a bird dog is very simple. Right? What we do is, I'm going to face this way so you can see my body. We get on all fours, and then you're going to extend. You're going to straighten out. In this case, I'm doing this to the left leg. Normally, I'd be looking straight ahead. I'm simply looking at you because of the camera. And then we're actually going to lift out the right leg. And then we're going to hold that position. Think of a dog pointing at a bird it's trying to chase. We're going to hold that for about 5 or 6 seconds. And then we're going to rotate. So we're going to switch. So we're always doing opposites. If I'm doing the right leg, then that's the left arm. If I'm doing the left leg, then it's going to be the right arm. We're going to repeat that. And as we do these, we're going to focus on all the things that stabilize the core. So I'm actually taking my belly button and holding it in. I'm actually contracting my glutes on each of these movements. I'm stabilizing the whole core. If you want to watch a really great video, go watch my video called The 4 Best Invisible Exercises. It'll talk all about how we stabilize this core. Again, we're going to rotate this back and forth. And when we do this, you may not be able to see this on the camera. With the leg that's out, I'm actually pulling my toes towards me, and it's almost the heel that is more pushing towards the end. We're going to do this to whatever tolerance you can handle. So this may be, this is something you do. You may only do this 3 times. Okay? If this is something you can handle very well, we may do this 10 times. And the whole goal is to hold for a good 5 to 10 seconds, depending on your tolerance. When we do that, we're stabilizing the core. We're doing it in a position where we're not putting excess pressure on that disc. And we're also doing it by putting the arms out and the legs out. We're adding extra tension in a way where the body has to deal with that while still stabilizing. Think about it. When we walk, when we do any sort of movement, there's going to be arm movement, there's going to be leg movement. We need the core to be stabilized while we're doing that. And by doing so, it's going to help keep those muscles strong, and it's going to help with degenerative disc disease. Exercise number 2 is the plank. I want you to get away from doing sit-ups, please. Sit-ups are not good for disc issues. Think about that. Is when we do a sit-up, what we're doing is, think of the disc as like a deli donut. So if we compress at the front, we're going to bulge at the back. Okay? That aggravates the disc. We don't want that happening. So that's exactly what happens in a sit-up. You're actually causing flexion in the spine. So we want to go to a plank instead. It gets back to actually causing those muscles to contract, but without putting any unnecessary pressure on the disc. And you don't want to do that if your disc is already degenerating. So in a plank, again, it's going to be to tolerance. Very, very simple. Okay? Is, these, okay, on the forearms, okay, knees up off the ground, and then you're going to hold this. Again, focus on contracting the glutes. Focus on engaging the abdominal muscles. Pull that belly button up and in, contract those glutes. Don't forget to breathe while you're doing this. And again, it comes down to whatever your tolerance is going to be. Are you going to hold this for 10 seconds, for 20 seconds, for 30 seconds? If you can get to 60 seconds, then you've done a fantastic job. Again, whatever you think you can handle. If you can only do one 60-second plank, but you did that every day, you would see some great improvement. Okay? If it's something that you're able to then take a minute break and then do another plank for another 30 to 60 seconds, fantastic. We're engaging all of the core muscles, and we're doing that without putting excess pressure on any of the disc elements, especially if you have more advanced osteoarthritis or degenerative disc disease. Exercise number 3, following in the exact same vein, is the side plank. So when people talk about core, they only think abdomen. And that's why so many people are doing sit-ups or crunches. Remember, your core is going to include the muscles on the front, the muscles on the back, the muscles on the side, the muscles that come through the middle. Same sort of thing. If someone thinks they're flexible, they'll go forward and touch their toes. Remember that vertebrae actually works in 6 different ranges of motion. So there is what we call flexion, where it moves forward, but there's also extension when it comes backwards. There's right lateral flexion, so that's when you come off to the side. There's left lateral flexion, you come off the other side. And then there's rotation to both the right and to the left. And the number of people I will see who think they're flexible because they can touch their toes or even put their palms on the ground, and then they have next to no movement whatsoever in any of the other ranges. So same thing as we, not just the prone plank, we want to do the side plank. So side planks, very, very similar. We're just going to get onto our side, again on the forearm, and again, we're going to come up off the ground. Okay? Now, typically, top leg will come a touch over the bottom leg. Okay? It's something where, again, that can be played with depending what type of condition you have. And you're going to want to hold this for a good, again, minimum 10, preferably 20. If you can do 30 seconds, great. Okay? And what we're doing is we're contracting everything, not just front, but sides, glutes, etc. And then after we've done that, we're going to come and we're going to switch to the other side. And remember, you have 2 sides, a right side and left side, when we do a side plank like this. So same thing, up on the forearm, okay, and then we're going to lift the hips right off the ground, and we're going to hold that for a good 10, 20, 30 seconds if we can. Now, when a lot of people do this, they're going to find one side is much easier to do than the other in a lot of cases, and that's because a lot of people do have imbalances. And so again, what you need to do is focus on your weak side. Okay? People like to do the stuff they're good at. They do not like to do the stuff that they're not good at. That's what you need to do. We tend to do the same stuff over and over again, and we need to focus on weaknesses as well. And that brings us to exercise number 4, what I call the isometric glute contraction. This is going to seem like such an easy exercise to do, so easy that some people may think it doesn't have benefit, or they'll even watch you and think you're doing nothing. And the truth is, this is probably the most important of the 4 exercises, because what happens is people's glutes, okay, so the glutes are basically your bum muscles of the back, okay? Those glutes become weak. And they don't just become weak, they actually become basically what we call inactivated. Because what happens is most people sit all day long, which means they're going to contract their hip flexors. And when you contract your hip flexors all the time, you're telling your glutes not to work. We need those glutes to work, because when those glutes don't work, you're going to find your balance will no longer be as good. You're going to find that you take much shorter steps. You'll see that a lot in the elderly. You think it's important to actually have good balance, and as you get older, right? People worry about falling, or what to do to build stronger bones. Well, how about working on not falling in the first place? There are so many things that can be done for that. So glute activation is important, and this is really simple. We're going to do this in a lying down position, but all you do is you're just going to lie down, and now I'm just going to contract my bum muscles, and I'm going to hold that. Remember, again, we're looking isometric. We don't want any rotation at the disc. We don't want any excess pressure on the spurs or the osteophytes. And I'm contracting those glutes for a good 5 to 10 seconds, and then I'm going to relax. It's hard to even show this to you on video because you really won't see my glutes contract. But again, I'm going to contract again. So, and again, if you watch the video, my video 4 best invisible exercises, this is one of these exercises. We call it an invisible exercise because you can do this anywhere and people won't even know you're doing it. So in this case, I'm doing it while I'm lying on the ground. So I'm relaxing again, and then I'm contracting again. And you want to do this as many times as you're capable of doing this, but you don't have to lie down to do this. You could do this while you're sitting in the car. You could do this while you're standing, talking to people. That's the neat thing about this. And the more we activate the glute, the more we tell the glute that we need it to keep working, the better it's going to be for the entire core, and then especially for degenerative disc disease, in the sense that if we get those supporting muscles stronger, it's going to help prevent a lot of that excess pressure coming on the spurs, the osteophytes, the disc that's already degenerated, and stop some of the excess pressure on the nerve as well. So those are the 4 core exercises that we want to focus on. And again, it's something these you can do daily, and they don't take long to do. You now have a targeted core exercise routine specifically for degenerative disc disease. It's going to give you the benefits without any of the risks. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me which exercise you found the most useful. Was it number 2, the prone plank, as much as you may hate doing planks? Was it number 4, the isometric glute contraction, because you figured, hey, I can lie on my back and people don't even know that I'm exercising, but again, a very important exercise. If you found value in this video, please go ahead and like it and share it so we can help more people suffering from degenerative disc disease. It also helps with the YouTube algorithm, which basically means more people can see these videos, more people can get help. Be sure to subscribe if you want more tips and strategies on how to treat and relieve debilitating back and neck pain without drugs and surgery. The next video you should watch is the one right here. If you want to learn how to treat degenerative disc disease safely and effectively without drugs or surgery, we've helped a lot of people in our clinic who had given up hope, even with advanced degenerative disc disease. Please go watch this video here.